All right, it looks like I may officially be live. Just going to check out my audio here real quick and allow people to essentially come onto the feed here. Looks like we're good to go on my end, so I'm going to look for some individuals to come into the feed. But I want to welcome everybody back, basically, to talk about it Tuesday. I have definitely been off for a few weeks in terms of live broadcasts. It is a good problem to have, but the center has been absolutely incredibly busy, including the drill press, which doesn't seem to ever stop. But I couldn't go any more weeks without possibly jumping on here and talking about the newly announced, ready to release Hammer purple urethanes. Okay. And I thought, this would be a great way to kind of ad lib and get back in and start talking about one of the most important pieces that individuals have in their bag lately with the urethane movement based on the way that the conditioning of oil is placed on a bowling lane. Before I get into kind of specifications, things like that, just kind of give you my first kind of overall. One other thing that we're going to do on the program today is when we announced that the Purple Hammers were coming back, we had a very good and unique opportunity as pro shop operators to essentially get our hands on a couple 2-ball packs early. We were allowed to get as many as 2 2-ball packs per location. So I went ahead and, obviously ordered them in. And the cool thing is that when we put the pre-orders up, I don't think anybody had any idea just how popular these balls were going to be this early on. But, for my sake here, for brick and mortar pre-orders, I got over 50 people on a list that have pre-ordered this ball. And we're actually going to do basically a live drawing. I'm going to pick out 4 people from those pre-orders. And the 4 brand new ones that I have in front of us are actually going to get into their hands early before the release date on July 1st. So pretty exciting. They got in, wanted to make sure that they got their bowling balls ordered. So they're going to have them on release day. But 4 lucky individuals on the broadcast tonight are actually going to get there early. So pretty awesome to see people jumping on here. I've kind of missed the interaction with everybody. So as you're coming in, make sure you stop by and say hello. I'm just going to make sure I don't miss any comments. Mike Martins, I hope you're doing well, my friend. I know praying for you there, going on, hoping to get you out of the hospital there, my friend. Nick Rhines, good to see you on. Colby, what's up, my man? Colby, definitely. Nick, pretty much everybody on here, they all have pre-orders, and I can tell you that right now. Terry, how you doing? Bernie Hayes, what's up, my man? Bernie, I know we'll probably get one of these in your hands at some point, too. I know you're anxious for a Widow 2.0 that's headed your way. Liking some of those shapes. Jonathan, how we doing? Carrie, there must be somebody else here calling sexy studs going on. I guess that's me. Nick Vivian, good to see you, my man. Hope you're doing well. I know from the teaching aspect, you're probably pretty much done there and probably looking forward to your summer. Mark, the Garden Gnome Walters, has jumped onto the program. Rick Rule, what's going on? All right. As they're going to keep coming in, so I'm going to keep it kind of relatively short and sweet. A lot of times when we do it on a Talk About It Tuesday, we spend quite a bit of time kind of, going over overall motion of the balls, numbers, kind of where it fits into the essentially into the lines. And I think the more important thing to talk about on this release is the big question that everybody had. And it was the same question they had when the Widow 2.0 came out is, through the years, Hopkinsville, originally Ebonite International, made the Purple Hammer bowling balls, the pearl urethane, and it was a mainstay in tournament players and local players' bags, and just had a distinct urethane shape that, to be honest with you, was very hard for other companies trying to make it. All right, they didn't have a lot of success trying to mimic getting the same shape out of a urethane-based bowling ball that they saw out of a Purple Hammer. I did miss you there, Marquise. Sorry, my man. I couldn't miss you if you were here in person, though, because Marquise is the guy that I'm going into a room that I'm a little unsure of because he's a big old teddy bear, but that's a big boy right there, tall. I'm getting behind Marquise. I'm going to be the guy in the back talking shit while he's in front of me. How about that? I didn't miss you now, buddy. Master Splinter's on the program. Got that on there. But as we're saying about the, about the urethane balls, is it was always kind of that chase. Companies would come out with a urethane-based bowling ball, trying to kind of mimic the exact shape that they saw out of the Purple Hammer. And to be honest with you, I haven't honestly seen one that has really got it spot on. Okay, I've seen some urethane balls that were close, from multiple brands that got close, but they just never had, during testing for myself, they could never make that distinct shape that we saw from the Purple Hammer. And I have two of them up here. I have one on here right here that has a ton of games on it. Okay, this is the original one down from Hopkinsville, and then we have a brand new one sitting here. They're identical when it comes to RG values. They're 2.650 015. 500,000, 2,000, and it's just a pearl urethane cover stock, right? Some of the big things that you'll see right off the bat when you look at them, even though the used one has a ton of games on it, the one thing you'll notice right off the bat of the one that was made at the Brunswick facility is, and that I like is that the engraving is a lot deeper on the ball. Okay. If everybody remembers, kind of, there was batches from Hopkinsville balls that it seemed like the engraving was very very shallow. Black hammers, purple hammers. If you think back to the Chaos series, things like that, and man, if you resurface those balls a couple times, you start losing serial numbers and stuff on them. But the new one here, I mean, it's really vibrant. The serial number that's on it is a deep engraving, which you're probably not going to be able to see, but I mean, it is nice, deeply engraved. You're going to be able to hit this thing with Scotch-Brite, sandpaper as much as you want, and you're going to get a lot of longevity out of the ball before you start, essentially worrying about losing any of the labels. The older ones, like for instance, I had a black hammer, and man, I put that on, the Haas machine with some Scotch-Brite, and lost the label within literally less than 5 minutes. So it's a good upgrade. I mean, when you look at them aesthetically side by side, the purples are really, really close. The pearlescent that you see in the cover, it's the same thing. And I think one of the questions that came out, and there was, I got a lot when it was first announced, was why do some have white pins and other ones have green? Well, they don't. What you're just seeing there is the flash from a camera. So a couple early photos may have looked like, people were asking, is that like a, is it a test ball? Is it something like that? What's the difference between a white and yellow? There's no difference. They're all green pins. It's just the way that the camera and the flash photography hit that made the green pair appear to be white, and it's not. So what I did with mine, so to give you an idea, is, the big question was, again, can Brunswick now make the Purple Hammer identical to the way that we've enjoyed it over the years? I mentioned the 2.0. Can they make a gas mask core? Can they make a cover stock and give us that Widow shape that we've been looking for? And the answer to that was absolutely. I mean, the Widow 2.0, 4 or 5 months, in now of that ball being out, and it's still one of the top sellers when you look across all the distributors. I mean, it is still a very big selling ball. The performance of that one was spot on, and in my opinion, was even better than some of the previous Widows and stuff that came out before the acquisition. I mean, the pink one sold a ton. It was okay. What didn't kick me out of my shoes, there was a black gold one that I didn't care for at all. And it's okay, because we're not going to match it with every ball. But man, I'll tell you what, the 2.0, it's great. So I had a good peace of mind, when I heard about the announcement. It was like, okay, so everybody realizes the reason it took a while to bring this Purple Hammer back and why it was so important to get it right is that they legitimately took the exact line out of Hopkinsville. So they took the physical line. The physical line is now down in Mexico at our facility in Reynosa. And it's not only the line, it is the same chemicals sourced from the same places. This is the identical ball to what we made when it was made in Hopkinsville. So that's great. Okay, we said everything's exactly the same. Really what is, when the rubber hits the road is, does it roll the same as the original? And I'm going to tell you, after throwing it numerous times, they got it perfect. Okay, so a brand new one. If anybody had a Hopkinsville one that was brand new, and it's going to see one of the new ones, right? What we remember out of the Hopkinsville one is, when you first threw it, it was pretty, what I would refer to as chirpy, right? It's very responsive, seemed very early. It seemed like, it didn't want to get through the front part of the lane, right? You're like, how does it not get through the front of the lane? It's, it's urethane, it's 265 RG, it should get through the front. But, urethane is going to read the front part of the lane. So just like the original one, I had to get some shots in with the newer cover stock one until it started to take on not really lane shine, but it at least got enough saturation on the outside of the cover. Because remember, it's not going to soak it in, so it doesn't fully saturate, but it got enough on the outer cover to essentially tone it down a little bit and started to quickly show me that shape I was so familiar with. Predictability, and basically, when it comes to it, anything that's going to be shorter or lower in volume, it's going to help me control the front part of the lane. It allows me to keep my angles more shut down, and it'll allow you to also, depending on your rev rate, open the angle up a little bit. This ball will come off it, and it goes through the pins. Biggest difference with purple hammers versus other urethane, balls, including our own black hammers and stuff like that, is this bowling ball goes through the pins better. It essentially likes to snap the 10 out. You don't see as many flat ones. You don't see it roll quite forward through the pins and kind of quit down coming off the pin deck. And that, out of any bowling ball, we want to see that, period. Okay. So absolutely ecstatic to have it back in the bag. I drilled mine identical on purpose for me, for a urethane ball. And for anyone, in my opinion, you want to stay around anywhere, stronger layout, like a, 3 3/8 pin, maybe up to 4 inches. And you're going to use a smaller valve angle, just because you really do, you want to use urethane for what it's worth. So we want to keep that pin out towards the valve. Some people like to call it pin buffer, or, depending on what system you use, to basically keep it closer to the VAL and actually see the urethane for what it is. So it's encouraging. It's awesome to see it. I'm so psyched that we have so many pre-orders on this ball. And I think the better part's going to be is when I actually get to start putting holes in all these bowling balls for all the pre-orders that came in. You guys and gals get them out on the lanes and see it for yourself. Whether you're a person that had the original or this could be the first time with the ball, this is a bowling ball that needs to be in your tournament bag. I'm going to tell you flat out, I don't like seeing them in league too much, in a 5-person league, but in a tournament where you're moving lanes and it calls for it, it is a tool that should be in your bag. It's something can be used to basically, help you yield higher scores and control the front part of the lane, because they come in handy, and it's something you should be traveling with. For all you kids that are out there that, going to junior gold, and I know you've watched, some of my previous broadcasts and stuff like that. I mean, to each his own. I do not recommend using these for spare balls. I just don't understand wanting a spare ball to go early. I'm a big fan of using polyesters and things along those lines. But out of any of them, this one's at least clean enough that you might be able to get away with it. But again, if I have my choice and I'm building your bag going to junior gold, this is going to be in there for the short pattern, but you're going to have a polyester ball in your bag as well. So keep it in mind. But it is what it is. So, I mean, before I go in and I do the drawing, which I think is pretty cool, because these 4 individuals that pre-ordered, you guys are going to be able to get these drilled right away. These are the ones that came in. They're for you. The only stipulation when I had to do the drawing here is that we're not allowed to ship these early. So individuals who ordered these, I filtered it by the names that are not shipping out of state. So if you do win and you're within a driving distance, you're on the list. You would essentially have to come here and pick it up. So I cannot ship this to you. So anyway, any questions out there? What's going on, Chuck? Any questions out there on the particular balls before I get into essentially drawing the 4, which I know is, I love to think everybody's just here to see my smiling face again after a few weeks off. But I'm pretty sure a lot of these are the individuals just hoping that they're one of the first 4 that get it. So fire away if you got any out there, folks. I am going to do my best to try and actually throw this into a comparison for you on Thursday. I cannot make 100% guarantee that I'm going to be able to make that happen. We had a bunch of motors come back here from the motor shop, as we're doing a lot of work on our pin setters since the summer. And we're going to be installing a bunch of those. So it really just comes down to how much time I have at the end of the night on Thursday. So we'll go from there. But tell you what, let's go in here. I'm just going to go up and basically this is a random drawing. I'm going to reach over here. I got a wall of bowling balls in front of me. You'll be able to see it. I'm going to share a screen up here. See if I get the best one. That's a little better. We'll get a bigger one here. Yeah, Chuck just said even Liz Culkin used this ball last week. She doesn't use urethane. Yeah, I mean, at Albany, these were used, by a couple players. It was a big play at Albany on the 36-foot pattern. Keep it to the right, and definitely, yeah, Liz Culkin does not use urethane. I've never seen her throw it before that day. So, all right, so let's go over here. I'm gonna just pretty simple here. We're gonna go in. We're just gonna do a random name. There's over 50 names that are in there. So let me click on this and see who gets the first one. Who's gonna get lucky? So the first one is going to be Doug Ream. Doug Ream, you got one of the early ones, my man. Hopefully, I'm not sure if he's even been there. Is it better for a particular style bowler? Jim, not really. A urethane ball, and used in the right way, can be used by any certain style of bowler. I would say, if I gave you, for instance, I think an individual that has extremely low tilt and very, very high axis rotation may not see a lot of benefit out of this, especially if they're speed dominant, because the bowling ball is probably going to feel, even though it's early, feel like it just doesn't pick up quite enough for them. But as far as it can match up to anybody depending on what you're bowling on, right? If it dictates it. The one thing that we have to understand about bowling balls, whether they're urethane or they're reactive resin or polyester or anything, and no matter what ball you're throwing, it really comes down to the pattern length that you're bowling on and the three zones and three motions that a bowling ball has to do. It has to skid, it has to hook, and it has to roll. And with any bowling ball in any bowler, really what we have to make sure of is that the bowling ball is not still trying to hook when we hit the end of the oil pattern. If that happens, you're going to have very poor ball reaction, where it's going to feel like when you open your angle up, it doesn't recover. And when you try to square up, your bowling ball wants to go at your feet. So again, especially, short oil patterns, we're trying to get bowling balls that will rev up, burn off some energy. These are good choices because these are going to be early shapes. We want to get them out of the skid phase and the hook phase and get them rolling forward at the end of the pattern. So we had a couple really good segments on that I went into more detail on that. All right, number 2 for a random pick, Richard Wolf. Okay, Richard, one of our Richard was just here a few weeks ago. I will tell you, Richard came in here and was having kind of a good story here to tell. Is was really struggling with ball motion, and we got Richard on the lanes and essentially went over and we pulled his pap and we looked at his tilt and his axis rotation and things, and quickly, it was very easy for me to see right off the bat that he had a lot of layouts in the bag that were pins that were almost a half an inch to an inch. So his ball motion was really struggling. Kind of goes off of what I was just saying there, Jim, where, with a short pin like that, I mean, his cores were stabilizing and spinning up quickly. So he didn't have a lot of ball motion down lane. So we actually not only did some layout changes, we did some grip changes for Richard, and he's been bowling really well. And, this was one that he wanted to make sure he got in the bag. So I know he's going to be excited about it. He's been talking about hoping he's one of the early ones. All right, let's get another one here. Number 3 is going to go to Mike Martins. So there's some good karma. Mike Martins, hopefully that makes you happy, my man. Mike, love you, brother. Hope you're feeling better. And I know Mike's been excited about the Purple Hammer as well, so he gets number 3 on here. And we got one more to give away here. Just want to make sure I didn't miss any comments coming through. So the last person that is going to get one early is going to be CJ Costa again. So I love telling stories. It's great. CJ is out of the Reading area, and CJ came to us probably about a year ago, and was, wanted to tinker around a little bit with fit, and was kind of bouncing around with some ball companies and stuff. He tried a couple different ones, and we got some Brunswick branded bowling balls in his hand. And I'll tell you what, he's been a force to reckon with. Tons of 300s, 800s coming off of there, and it essentially is just matched up really well with him. I know he's a huge fan of the Blood Red, the Knockout series. has been really, really good for him. Of course, the Web Tour hybrid from the hammer side. And Kelly, I got your comment, all men not fair. Well, I only had, just to let you know, on the pre-orders, there was one female that pre-ordered one. So unfortunately, 1 out of 58 is a pretty hard draw there. So I promise it is probably all men because they bought them. So it's nothing against anybody. So, you know, if you caught the first segment of this, these were not just being given out for free. These were individuals that pre-ordered, meaning they paid for the balls to make sure they have them on release date. And 4 of them got lucky enough to get them early. So, again, you know, Doug Ream, Mike Martins, and I'm going to jot them down here because I'm getting old and I don't want to miss out on those. Mike Martins, CJ Costa, and Richard Wolf are our winners. Okay, let me take that off of the full screen. We're going to get this away here, and I'm going to look at what we get here and see if I missed any other comments. Oh, Mike's saying draw another one because he can't bowl for a while. That is pretty novel, Mike. And I think that's pretty fair. He knows he's not going to be able to bowl. So, you know what, Mike? Not a problem, man. I appreciate that. So Mike's going to let us go for one more random name here. So let's draw another one. Well, since he didn't get it, it went to Colin Fraunfelter. Colin Fraunfelter, you get lucky thanks to Mr. Mike deferring. All right, Stanley, let's see what we got here. Looks like you're tuning in from over on YouTube. Let me get your question here right now. Compared to the Black Widow urethane, what do you think? Okay, well, all right. So I'm one that's going to give you my my honest opinion out of everything. The Black Widow urethane, which you're referring to, has the gas mask core in it. And that, I'm going to tell you, is a bowling ball that is going to match particular styles because, honestly, for myself, the Black Widow urethane is completely unthrowable. It is just so early of a ball motion that I literally can't throw it because the gas mask core paired with that urethane cover stock, that ball hooks in my backswing. And it always made me feel like I had to open the front angle a ton, and then I would lose the threshold and the ball wouldn't go through the pins for me. So if I was to compare the two, though, just to give you an idea, that Widow, the Black Widow one, urethane is going to be considerably earlier than the purple. The purple, again, it is a pearl urethane cover stock. It is matte in finish. The RG on it is relatively high. It just reads the body of the lane and blends the body of the lane completely different. When you get asymmetry in the urethane balls or in anything, you're creating a lot of instability in the hook phase. Okay, so it's quite different when you're dealing with a big old core like that and the help of the core and having axis migration from the core than you are with something that's going to flare very little, if at all, and it's going to stay more true to its plane through the front of your hand and your lane. It's just going to blend it out differently. So 2 way different bowling balls. If you're looking for something that is going to be cleaner than a Black Widow urethane, you definitely would look into a purple. It's going to be better through the pins overall. Kelly said she was kidding. Yes, I knew you were kidding. I was just really, really going to just thought it was a funny comment that came out. Nick, more often than not, if someone pulls out urethane, I usually hear someone moans and grunts about people trashing the pair. Of course, with the release of this ball, we will definitely be seeing more urethane on the lanes. What are your thoughts on that? Is there a way to use urethane without being a nuisance to the rest of the pair? I don't have a problem talking about that, Nick, because I would tell you, even for myself, okay, I really don't want to see somebody throwing a urethane bowling ball in a 5-person league. The problem is sometimes I think it's a misconception about what urethane does, and maybe about a misunderstanding about when and where to use it, okay? Because most of your typical leak patterns are, there's not a lot of volume and there's not a lot of units of oil to the outside, okay? They're generally pretty cliffed, but with a purple urethane, it's not a ball that I'm actually going to use when, the entire lane seems to be overall hooking. Actually, it's much better when we're bowling on, say, a shorter pattern with a little more volume in the front, or especially more 2-2s coming out, where you don't see that on a house pattern. So what happens is the urethane balls, they do pick up oil and they take them down lane because they don't saturate. So a urethane ball is definitely going to make a pair feel tighter as you go on, because usually what's happening is it's making the front of the lane hook more while it's taking it down lane, making it feel tight. Okay. In a 5-person traditional league, I think you can very well trash a pair with urethane, and I'm not a fan of it. You're not going to see me use it in league, but when you're bowling in competition and you're bowling a single game or you're bowling for yourself, newsflash, use whatever you got to use to win. And that's why it's so prevalent now, because the way that the application of oil is in the lanes, you see urethane on a multitude of different pattern lengths because of how we're oiling the lanes, especially when you see these, they call them speed bumps, which to me doesn't make sense. It's a speed strip, if you will, or an accelerator there. We're using these to get the bowling ball to see the pattern in front of that strip, so it doesn't force us to open the ankles up as much. As far back, you'll see people use it on 44, 45 feet because there's so much of a puddle in the front, and after people crowbar it with pads, they're searching for something where they can just play a part of the lane and play the front part of the lane and just get the bowling ball to stop. So again, it's a tool, right? But you are going to hear that in league, because in league, let's be honest with you, a lot of people will get in, they basically play the track, or you'll get the guys with the higher rev rates are in the left gutter to start, which all those things can make you cringe, destroying a pattern, because not only urethane, but, the guys that start, too far left and destroy the shim too early on, and you have nothing by the end of game 2 or 3, are really doing the same thing. And you can do that with a resin ball. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's a right and a wrong way to break down any type of pattern. And, I think it really comes down to time and place. If you're bowling a doubles tournament or something, and you're bowling on something that's relatively short, and you and your partner are comfortable playing the same part of the lane, then by all means, go ahead and use them together. But, just be careful when you use them. I mean, they're prevalent this year at the USBC Open, right? I mean, urethane's in play out there, especially for from the minor events where they're hooking and guys are trying to kind of control the break point and stuff. I don't know that I've seen a full team using them, but I mean, again, it's a philosophy where if they're going to be used, use them together. And you may not like them, but I guarantee you, if you put one in your hand and you do the same thing individuals are doing when it looks good, you're going to fall in love with them pretty quickly, and you're going to be just okay continuing to strike. Because I don't know about everybody else in this feed, but I'm going to use whatever I got to use to try to win. And I'm going to try to maximize the amount of money I put in my pocket. So if Purple Hammer's in play, Purple Hammer's in play in my game too. All right. Kelly, what do we got here? Some others I need to bring up, but I won't have them this week. Have a good night. Same to you. Happy to get it early, but shame I get it due to an injury. Thanks for being generous, Mike. All right, Larry, what do you got here? How much of a factor, if any, does the location come into play when talking about the pour of these bowling balls? I was hearing comments from bowlers wondering if the old and new purple would be the same in the location of hammer plant change. I mean, when you look at that, Larry, you got to look at it the same way. And when you're in any type of a manufacturing facility, temperature control is a huge portion, especially when you're dealing with curing. When you're dealing with polymers or anything along those lines, whether it's from resins that are used in bowling balls, urethane is a type of resin. I mean, it's you have a catalyst, you have a hardener, and things that go, and you have a flash point, right? So anytime you have that, you have to control basically the temperature of the building and the ambient temp. All right. So whether you're making these in a humid Hopkinsville in the middle of 95-degree weather, or you're making these in Reynosa, you have to control the environment. So do I think, is there going to be impact? I think there would be impact more batch to batch, no matter where they're made. than there would be saying, one portion or one coming from the United States out of Hopkinsville versus the other one coming from Mexico and Reynosa. It's just not an issue. Okay. It really comes down to all these plants. And, I'm a hammer guy, true and blue. I represent some brands of Brunswick, but you go to Storm, you go to Motive, you go to any of those places, they're going to control their temperatures because they're dealing with a curing process. So it really doesn't matter where you're at if your manufacturing and of the bowling balls is done in the proper manner. They're not going to allow the swings in temperature because it not only could change the pour, it could also change the softness of the bowling ball, the porosity of the bowling ball, and really how long it takes for them to fully cure. So I think that's something you could pretty much wipe away from it. And based on performance, if I had only thrown the new one here one time and I'm just like, I'm coming on the feed and this is the first time you're hearing it, but I've seen it go down the lane for other players. I've thrown it a bunch myself and compared it to one that I have a ton of games on. And I've seen other players with their first impressions on it. A couple players said that they had it a little stronger than the original one. Again, you could get. Here's the easiest way for me to explain this, right? We could take let's say it's not even a purple hammer, right? I could take 15. Let's pick another ball. The hammer roll that came out, the black one, okay? And the black one that comes out, and they come off of a line, all right? And in the finishing process on a line, it goes through a series of sanding, right? You're getting your finish sanding, your 500, your 1,000, 2,000, whatever's going on it, okay? In every single one of those plants, no matter what the manufacturer is, those pads get changed out periodically based on wear. It's no different than if you go into a pro shop or you have your own personal Aberlon pads. They wear out and they're not truly cutting to what the pad says, right? So let's say, and I do not know, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to this. I could probably find out, maybe even Chuck knows if he's still on. But, every so many balls, the pads have to be changed out. So does anybody on here really think that the first ball that used that finishing pad on there is the same as ball number 50 that came out, is identical? Does anybody think that's possible using the same pad? It's not, right? So when I see things that somebody has a ball that may be a hair earlier, or somebody else said it's just a little bit cleaner than there, it could just be if what number run it was when that bowling ball came through. And again, if you've been a loyal person to the feeds and stuff on here, and you've heard me say many a times before, this is exactly why when I get bowling balls, even if they're 1,000 out of box, I hit them with a fresh 1,000 pad of my own, because I try to control how the bowling ball starts. Okay, I controlled it because I know exactly what pad. I used a brand new 1,000 pad on every ball. So on my hammer, and I will tell you I did it, right? I got the hammer, and on the top coat supposed to be 2,000. I took a fresh 2,000 pad. I hit the top of the ball. I went out to the lanes with it. All right. If somebody got that versus somebody that got a 2,000 pad that was used in the finishing process that was on there for 35 or 40 balls, I guarantee you that one is slightly higher in overall grit if you were to do a surface scan on it. I'm sure you could find a multitude of surface scan examples online if you did something on YouTube. That'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, that what they're all stated at is not what they all are. And honestly, when you throw them down a lane a few times, they're going to change so quickly. But the cool thing about this one is, I don't have my exact one down here, but I did throw, it probably has 20 games on it, and it looks as fresh as this brand new one. Just the ease of it wiping off the cover of that bowling ball with a leather chamois is really good. Looks like we got Joey Pants stop by saying it's the same, but better. Be like Jacob Buttroff. Yeah, it's not a bad person. Jacob has pretty much made a career out of this ball, and Joe on the program here throws a little bit of everything, obviously a radical national staffer, but likes purple hammers, uses them when they're in play. And, he knows the time and place when they should be used, and when they don't look good, when it's time to put them away. But those are some really good questions that came through. And I think it's important to kind of understand it. I also, want to make 100% sure if you have further questions, after the feed tonight, you're a little curious about if maybe, a urethane piece would be good for you. Feel free to reach out to me. You can get me right through Facebook. And I try my best to answer as fast as I can and get to every one of those messages that come through, because I'm more than happy and willing to help any individual that would like to chat about bowling, because I love it, and I can't get enough of it. But doesn't look like there's any other questions that are coming through. So I'm pretty much going to get to the point where I wrap it up here. For the individuals that were winners, I will be reaching out. We'll kind of arrange, get holes in these for you, get them on the lane so you can join them right away. For anyone else that may not have pre-ordered them, you can't get it on the 4 free ones, but we are still taking pre-orders to try and make sure that you get one of them, and I can guarantee I will have it for you before that July 1st release date. They'll come in, we'll get them drilled, get them in your hands, get you on the lanes. The press is going to be quite busy when they come in. My FedEx driver is probably not going to be too happy with me that day, but it's okay. We love servicing our customers, and we love selling hammer bowling balls and the brands of Brunswick, because it's we support the products that support us. All right, so a couple things we always say to the end. Hopefully, if you are bowling this weekend, throw tons of strikes. Hopefully, I'll see some individuals out in the lanes. I know there is a big mixed event. I like to give shout outs to tournaments where I can. I know this weekend there's quite a few you can choose from. So this weekend we have Opposites Attract, which is Jeff Baker down in the Baltimore area. That is mixed doubles, 1 female, 1 male. And make sure you're going down there. That is in Glen Burnie, one of the Bowl Americas now, which I guess you could say Bolero it's going to be. Sunday, 2 that I know of, myself and Carrie. If you're going to be at Nellie Fox, you will see us there. We're going to bowl a doubles tournament together. Since it's a little closer commute, but there is also a tournament at Chaco's. Eric Kodrowski and Jack Current do a fantastic job there, so go out and support those guys by doing some bowling, and make sure you're saying hi and thanking the proprietors for doing everything they can to offer us places to bowl. Support them. Yeah, a couple extra drinks there. We can all use it. But I'm going to do my best to continue to have some more feeds and kind of get back on track here, and offering you up some of the wisdom that I hope to share to you. There won't be a Wisdom Wednesday this week, but again, if I can, I'll try to get on Thursday night and throw these down the lane for you. Until then, still doing the movement. I still talk about it all the time. I talk about the clothing line, the apparel from Coolwick that supports me. And if you haven't done so already, nothing makes me feel better than seeing somebody walk by me with a Better Than Yesterday t-shirt. It's awesome. It's just so cool to see a message that's so near and dear to me on their shirts. If you go on to Coolwick's site, you basically got to go to the Be Cool Crew regional staff. If you go under that tab, and you'll find my line on there. And you can put in JSmith10, get you 10% off. And we're going to be running something pretty soon to kind of get more of those out in the forefront of individuals. But if you can support me, I love it. I love the movement. And I think it's just a great message. So, Jonathan, I just saw one on here. I will try to get it real quick. What is this? What urethane complements the purple, since the purple is more down lane U motion? If you're asking our lines, yeah, U motion. For me, I'll be honest with you, U motion for me is actually even a little. It's a tamer bowling ball. It is a little earlier for me than a purple hammer, but it's just not as responsive in the middle part of the lane. Just doesn't go through the pin deck the same way for me. But it is, if you're looking for a true step down from it, that would be the one. I don't have any inside intel. I would hope that one day maybe we can make the black hammer again too. I think that's the ultimate, compliment, because the black hammer was considerably earlier for me with the solid cover stock instead of the pearl. And there was a time and place that came in, but I just really like the core not to be an asymmetric core. So if you want another compliment to it, go over the Radical brand. I know it's a polyester, it's got a core in it, but at least it will tame it down. Take a look at the spy. You got that textured poly on there. You crack that cover on that thing. I mean, it's really pretty out of the box, but performance-wise, you crack it with a pad. You can get that thing rolling pretty sweet. I've seen quite a few of them go down the lane, and it could complement that as well. They need big boy sizes. Marquise, you telling me they won't get you a size down there big enough? If that's the case, I will essentially, call on down there and see what it can do. Eric Smith. Last week of states too. PA states. Okay, yeah. Last week of PA states. If you haven't entered that, I got the bullet once or twice while I was home. I know the boys, and I don't even know what's leading PA states right now. I want to say it's 3650 or something. It's a bunch, man. Them boys were striking. So, all right, we're at the 40-minute mark. I keep saying I'm going to cut it off, and I am going to cut it off. So thanks, everybody, for joining me again tonight. Again, if you're going to bowl, lots of strikes, support your local proprietors, grow bowling together, and by all means, buy the brands of Brunswick, specifically Hammer. Get the pre-orders in if you haven't done so on the purple hammers. I promise you they are special. If you're not local enough to me, you can check out the website at www.pureitbowling.com and or visit your local pro shop that's in your area and pick up one. All right, gang. Thanks for tuning in. If there's anything I can do for you, reach on out. Have a good one.